C and weight loss. But what happens is vitamin C is a natural appetite suppressant. And it also increases your metabolism and your energy. When your energy goes up, you start feeling better. You can go out and take a walk. Let's burn some of it off.
So you've created the Super C22 formula. It's a powder.
Right.
You mix it in beverage, and folks, you'll love the taste of this. Now, when you take your Super C22 formula, is it something you can feel working? I mean, what can it do?
Well, the first sign of health is more energy. So you're going to have more energy, more mental clarity. You're going to have less pain in your body. Your cholesterol is going to go down. Your triglycerides will go down. The HDL cholesterol, the good one's going to go up. Blood pressure starts to go down. You'll have less joint pain. Well, here I've got one of my clients, he's from Oregon. He wrote me this letter. He says, Dr. Pincus, he says, I've been on your Super C for several days now. And he says, so one of the first things that happened for him is he's sleeping a lot better now. And he said he used to drag himself out of bed. Now he's waking up, he says, quote, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. The other thing that he wrote, he said, I'm breathing much better now. He says, I used to get winded climbing the stairs at work especially. Now he's breathing better, and he's out walking. He's taking time with his kids. It's a life changer, Chris.
Yeah.
Super C22 is a life changer.
I want to let you listeners know that if you want to get a free book about vitamin C and try Dr. Pincus's Super C22 formula, there's a special toll-free number to call. It's 1-800-686-7124. Now, Super C22 is packed with 22 pure forms of vitamin C that your body desperately needs for optimal health. And by getting the right amount of vitamin C in the right form into your body, you're going to live longer, you're going to have increased energy and less pain. And just so you know, Dr. Pincus has arranged a very special offer that's only available to you listeners. So when you do call, please be sure to mention this program, and you're going to get a risk-free trial of Dr. Pincus's Super C22 formula. Again, this is only available to you listeners, and only if you call this toll-free number. It's 1-800-686-7124. And if you're one of the first 100 callers, you'll also get a free copy of the Guide to Vitamin C. Now, this book reveals why vitamin C is the absolute key to reducing or even eliminating your health problems. And this goes way, way beyond the cold and the flu. You're going to learn how vitamin C shields against high blood pressure, heart disease, and stroke. Chapter 6 covers vitamin C and cancer. You're also going to learn how to slow down the aging process and have better skin, joints, and vision. It's all in this very informative book. And Dr. Pincus, again, you said you were going to include some extras here for the people that do call today.
That's right. I'm going to include an extra free supply. I'm also including my latest CD, which is called See Your Way to Better Health.
Well, thank you, Dr. Pincus, for doing that for my listeners. Folks, this is a really great offer. You get the book, you get to try Dr. Pincus's Super C22 formula with an extra free supply, and you get Dr. Pincus's audio CD. The number to call is 1-800-686-7124. It's 1-800-686-7124. Folks, I bet you're thinking a little differently now about vitamin C. I know I am. Dr. Pincus, with all of this emerging information that's out there, why do you think we're not hearing more about the benefits of vitamin C?
It's not a sexy trend, but vitamin C has survived the test of time because it's been around. It was discovered in the 1930s. Vitamin C has over 100,000 studies. In fact, one study in particular showed that if you get on a good supplement like my Super C and you stay on it, the average life expectancy went up 6 years.
Well, who should, I mean, is there a perfect candidate that you can describe that should be like, it's a no-brainer, be on your Super C22 formula?
Well, yes, I would say, first of all, if you're listening out there and you're over the age of 60, it's a no-brainer. You absolutely need to get on my Super C formula because you manifest symptoms more readily than younger people. For those of you who are younger in your childbearing years, vitamin C is necessary for you and your baby. And those of you in your 40s and 50s, these are the ages that I call your insurance age. Vitamin C is the most important thing you can do to protect yourself. So get on it. Even if you're not manifesting symptoms, get on it and stay on it.
Okay.
And for those of you who have teenagers or young children, I started my son very, very young on Super C. And I can tell you, I can count on one hand the number of times he's been sick through his childhood and teen years. So when I say it's Super C, it is Super C. It's a great formula.
And by taking Super C22 then, what are some of the things that you'll experience?
Well, the first thing you're going to experience is energy. And along with that comes mental clarity, less pain, better vital signs like blood pressure starts to go down. you'll see that your cholesterol is improving, your HDL, the good cholesterol, goes up, triglycerides go down, the inflammatory markers in your blood start to go down. You know, Chris, we're talking about health here.
Right. Well, unfortunately, Dr. Pincus, we are about out of time here. Anything else you want to share with our listeners today?
Yeah, Chris, first of all, I want to thank you again for having me on your show.
It's always great fun, especially when it's a surprise like this.
And for those of you listening, I want to let you know that I really believe there's no accidents. I think we're all here together for a reason. And I want to let you know that health is a two-way partnership. Even with my patients, I'm there to help as much as I can. Now, with my Super C22, I've done the work, but you have to take the next step. So I urge you to call in, order my formula, get on it, give it to your family, and see for yourself how it works for you.
Okay, folks, this is your last chance. If you want to get a free book about vitamin C and try Dr. Pincus's Super C22 formula, there's a special toll-free number for you to call. It's 1-800-686-7124. As we've been talking about here, Super C22 is packed with 22 pure forms of vitamin C that your body desperately needs for optimal health. And by getting the right amount of vitamin C in the right form into your body, you're going to live longer, you're going to have increased energy and less pain. And remember, Dr. Pincus has put together a very special offer that's only available to you listeners. So when you do call, please be sure to mention this program, and you're going to get a risk-free trial of Dr. Pincus's Super C22 formula. Again, this is only available to you listeners, and only if you call this toll-free number. It's 1-800-686-7124. And remember, if you're one of the first 100 callers, you're also going to get a free copy of The Guide to Vitamin C. Now, this book reveals why vitamin C is the absolute key to reducing or even eliminating your health problems. And again, this goes way beyond just the cold and the flu. You're going to learn how vitamin C shields against high blood pressure, heart disease, and stroke. Chapter 6 covers vitamin C and cancer. You're going to learn how to slow down the aging process, have better skin, have better joints, vision, how vitamin C is essential for arthritis, for allergies, for infections, for getting better sleep, having better mood, and of course, increasing your energy levels. It's all in this very informative book. So you get the free book, you get to try Dr. Pincus's Super C22 formula with an extra free supply, and you get Dr. Pincus's audio CD. The number to call is 1-800-686-7124. And remember, folks, you have absolutely nothing to lose here because you can try Dr. Pincus's Super C22 formula absolutely risk-free. The number to call is 1-800-686-7124. I'll give it to you one last time. It's 1-800-686-7124. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Again, thanks to our sponsor, Dr. Newton's Naturals. You can visit them online anytime at drnewtons.com for all your supplement needs. And be sure to tune in again next week for another great show. I'm Chris McKay. Have a great day, everybody.
AM560 The Answer.
You know, I'm not a genius about money. I love my credit cards, and they love me. I was using them as a source of income, and then I got behind in my payments, and creditors were calling. I figured I had a problem, and I didn't know how to deal with it. I heard about Trinity, so I called and talked to a counselor. In half an hour, we worked out a plan. Now I've got one easy monthly payment, a lower interest rate, and I'm getting out of debt.
If you're in an endless cycle of paying on credit card balances that never seem to go away, then get ready for a toll-free number that will put you on a path to financial recovery. Trinity will consolidate your accounts, put a stop to late fees and over-limit charges, reduce your interest, and possibly improve your credit score. You'll save thousands. If your debt has you down, we should talk. Call 1-800-990-6976. That's 1-800-990-6976. Call 1-800-990-6976.
What's happening? What does it mean? Why is it important? We've got the answer. AM560 The Answer. Joined by Andy, Chicago.
Fox News Radio. The investigation in Michigan continues following a Saturday shooting spree that left 6 dead. Kalamazoo, Michigan Public Safety Director Jeffrey Hadley talks about the shock. Half a dozen local residents
just out enjoying their life, and it was interrupted fatally by this individual.
Under arrest is a 45-year-old man who's also accused of badly wounding 2 other people.
We have no understanding of the motive, what had prompted the suspect, Jason Dalton, to commit these really heinous acts.
Dalton is an Uber car service driver.
Fox News' Steve Taylor.
ISIS is taking responsibility for bombings in the Syrian cities of Damascus and Homs on Sunday that killed nearly 130. The blast came even as Secretary of State John Kerry announced that a provisional agreement had been reached on a cessation of hostilities that could begin in the next few days. But Kerry also acknowledged that it's not finalized. The wheels are in motion for President Obama to nominate a new Supreme Court justice.
Right now, President Obama is in the process of whittling down a number of potential replacements to a short list. On Friday, he was photographed at the White House carrying a thick binder. Inside are the resumes and records of people who the White House says may be worthy of consideration. But Senate Republicans continue to say they will block any replacement that this president appoints. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court will return from a month-long recess on Monday. They'll begin hearing oral arguments with only 8 justices on the bench and no time frame for when that 9th seat may be filled.
Fox's Kristen Fisher in Washington. Republican Donald Trump and Democrat Hillary Clinton are cementing their status as presidential frontrunners with strong performances among demographic groups at the core of their parties. Exit polls suggest Trump did surprisingly well with self-described evangelical conservatives in South Carolina, and Clinton's Nevada caucus victory affirmed her strength among non-white voters. You're listening to Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
How can you get from here to there? We've got the answer from the ChicagoRadioDeals.com Traffic Center.
I'm Paul Bodenloss with a look at the roadways. On the inbound Eisenhower, it's slowing down between Racine and the Burns Circle interchange. From Thorndale to the post office, it's 30 minutes. From Manheim, takes about 17 minutes. Inbound on the Dan Ryan, slowing down between Roosevelt and the Burns Circle interchange. Takes about 16 minutes from 95th to downtown. Chicago Bulls taking on the Los Angeles Lakers. That game began at 7 p.m. this evening. You can expect some heavier traffic around the stadium after the game. CTA will be operating the number 19 United Express bus. The number 20 and number 50 buses will also stop at the stadium this evening. Taking a look at the temperature tonight, 31 and partly cloudy. Tomorrow, 38 and partly cloudy. Currently, it's 36 degrees. Next update in 15 minutes on AM560 The Answer.
If you love delicious Indian food, then you must experience Gaylord Fine Indian Cuisine in Schaumburg. For over 18 years, Gaylord has served an extensive lunch and dinner menu of fine Indian cuisine. Signature dishes include tandoori jinga jumbo prawns, chicken tikka masala, or the tangy and hot southern Indian specialty lamb vindaloo. All dishes are prepared using only quality fresh ingredients. Even the elaborate $12.95 lunch buffet is cooked that morning. Manager Darren Diabrio invites you to come early when they open at 11:30 weekdays and noon on weekends to see and smell the freshness for yourself. It's highly recommended you skip breakfast and save your appetite for lunch. And Gaylord can accommodate business meetings or events for up to 60 people. Gaylord Fine Indian Cuisine is on Mall Drive, just south of Woodfield Mall. Call 847-619-3300 or visit GaylordIL.com. Gaylord Fine Indian Cuisine in Schaumburg is the Mercedes of fine Indian dining. 847-619-3300.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Do no harm.
It's an oath every doctor takes, and Dr. Nick Stella takes that oath very seriously.
Do no harm.
Obamacare is a disaster. Dr. Stella will fight to put healthcare decisions back into the hands of patients and doctors.
Do no harm.
With the threat of terrorism becoming an everyday reality, Dr. Stella will make national security a priority. And instead of arguing about problems, he'll focus on solutions.
Do no harm.
For too long, politics as usual has invaded Congress. As a practicing cardiologist, Dr. Stella's focus is for positive outcomes, an idea that's been lost in Washington. Washington insiders have failed us on all levels: the economy, jobs, national security, healthcare. Dr. Nick Stella has spent his career helping people improve their lives. Dr. Nick Stella will be the outsider voice we need in Congress. Dr. Nick Stella, Republican for Congress.
I'm Dr. Nick Stella, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Stella for Congress, Inc.
We never want a serious crisis to go to waste.
If I could have gotten 51 votes in the Senate of the United States for an outright ban, picking up every one of them, Mr. and Mrs. America, turn them all in, I would have done it.
I have 2 words for you. Predator drones. You will never see it coming.
It's time for On Target Radio, Chicagoland's only radio show dedicated to the red meat issues that affect your life, from gun control to freedom of speech. Now, debating, debunking, and discussing today's hot issues. here are your hosts, David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz.
Welcome to On Target Radio. Tonight, our guest will be Dr. Nick Stella, who is a candidate in the Republican primary for the 11th Congressional District, which is currently represented by Bill Foster. They'll be discussing replacing Justice Antonin Scalia, the Second Amendment, U.S. border security, and more. We'll also be talking to Beth Short, operations manager of Schrank Smoke and Gun in Waukegan, about a major sale they're having this week. And you won't want to miss this week's segment 6 when Dr. Stella, a cardiologist, talks about the U.S. healthcare system. All that and more on tonight's On Target Radio. So be sure to give us a call at 312-642-5600 or go to Facebook, like our page On Target Radio, and ask a question there.
And now, from the seething cauldron of personal opinion, it's time for David's Rant of the Week.
It's an apples to oranges comparison, Senator Chuck Schumer, the Democrat from New York, said. He was responding to Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell's comment he wouldn't even take up an Obama nominee, declaring Scalia's replacement should be chosen by the next president. That's a position widely held by conservatives across the country. Admittedly, the first thing I said upon learning of the death of Justice Scalia was, from Barack Obama's perspective, it's certainly a convenient time for the most staunchly conservative Supreme Court justice to die. Apparently, others have had similar doubts, as Scalia's death has ignited a firestorm of conspiracy theories. Schumer's comment was referring to his pledge to stop a nomination by then-President George W. Bush. Speaking to the American Constitution Society in 2007, Schumer said that Democrats, and I quote, should reverse the presumption of confirmation, unquote, because the court was, and I quote again, dangerously out of balance. Of course, now that the Republicans fear a Supreme Court dangerously out of balance, well, the practice is wrong. Republicans and Democratic Senators Joe Donnelly of Indiana, Heidi Heitkamp of North Dakota, Joe Manchin of West Virginia, and John Tester of Montana know an activist liberal appointment literally means the end of the Second Amendment for all practical purposes. In particular, the new justice could provide the deciding vote to overturn the District of Columbia v. Heller decision, eliminating the individual's right to possess and own a firearm. Everything you need to know about Obama's support for Supreme Court justices who are strict constitutionalists is that he's not going to attend Scalia's funeral. White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest said, and I quote, "I don't have a sense of what the president's plans are for Saturday," unquote. Well, the rumor is he's going on a fact-finding trip to assure that no ISIS terrorists are threatening any golf courses in Hawaii. Senate Minority Leader Harry Reid wrote an op-ed in the Washington Post Tuesday that called the GOP strategy radical and said, by leaving a high court vacancy, I quote, "it is easy to envision a future where the Supreme Court is routinely crippled by partisan politics." He further said of the Republicans, "I think that they're going to cave in." The idea has been floated that Obama could wait until Congress goes into recess, then appoint a justice. Now, oddly enough, despite Reid being old enough to remember when Democrats actually stood up for the rights of Americans, he's apparently forgotten about August 1960, when the Democrat-controlled Senate passed Senate Resolution 334, expressing the sense of the Senate that the president should not make recess appointments to the Supreme Court except to prevent or end a breakdown in the administration of the court's business. Each of President Eisenhower's Supreme Court appointments had initially been a recess appointment, and the Democrats were not happy campers. None of the appointees were beholden to liberal dogma or to the Democratic purveyors of payoffs and perks. In 1992, rather than confirming President George H.W. Bush's picks for federal judgeships, Senate Democrats delayed nominees, quote, to preserve the vacancies for Arkansas Governor Bill Clinton to fill if he is elected president. In all, Senate Democrats have held approximately 50 judgeships up and presumably more for liberal nominees. Even Obama has played the game. As a U.S. Senator, Obama voted to filibuster Republican-appointed judicial nominees 4 times. Of course, today, Obama says he regrets joining the Senate Democrats' failed effort to block the nomination of now Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito from coming to a vote in 2006, and he didn't even need a teleprompter to say it. The Democrats can decry comparing apples to oranges all they want, but if you ask me, their position more closely resembles a lemon. And that, Gretchen, is my rant for the week.
We actually got an astute email too that the last time the Democrats allowed the Republicans to make such an appointment was 1888.
Well, you don't want to do this too often. You know, that'd be...
So the guy was saying it's been like 199 years for them to return the favor.
Well, every 200 years we're going to do this. You listen to On Target Radio, this is AM560 The Answer. Give us a call, 312-642-5600. Our guest this evening is Dr. Dominic Stella. Nick was raised in Darien, graduated from Illinois Benedictine University, and received his MD in 1995 from Loyola University Stritch School of Medicine. He's a board certified in cardiovascular disease and intervention cardiology. Nick's a candidate in the Republican primary for the 11th Congressional District, and his political philosophy is to change the current politics as usual to alternative to politics as usual. Nick, thank you very much for coming in this evening.
Thank you for having me.
You're running for Congress, and you wouldn't have an oversight on who is appointed Supreme Court, but it's politics as usual, isn't it?
Of course. You know, from my point of view, the president has the constitutional right to nominate someone for the Supreme Court, but the Senate also has the constitutional right to either confirm or not confirm them.
And it's certainly been done in the past by the Democrats. So if you go to, well, first we got to get you through the primary, obviously, but if you go to Washington, that's a daunting task. I mean, it's entrenched, really.
It sure is. I think that the American people are tired of the entrenchment. They're tired of politics as usual. They're tired of politicians go along to get along. Politicians who will say what they need to say in order to get elected. And when they get to Washington, it becomes all about them or the party or a different agenda.
And staying in power.
Of course.
If, and what, you know, I never was for term limits before, but is that what happens when you get in Washington is you get a little tiny office down in the basement. And the longer you hang in there, the better appointments you get. You move upstairs, you get a bigger and bigger office, and it gets to the point where it's like an aphrodisiac. How do you deal with something like that?
Well, you know, I never was for term limits either. I have to tell you, I always thought term limits were unnecessary because we have term limits. They're called elections. But unfortunately, I think that as we've seen people being in elected office for decades, 20, 30, 40 years, I think that just breeds the opportunity for corruption. It breeds the opportunity to lose contact with the constituents. The most important job that an elected official has is to remember that they are an elected official. They are representing people. They're representing those that put them in office. That's what they always have to keep in mind. And when a representative loses that idea, it's time to go.
So tell us up front, if you get elected, as the last batch did, saying they're going to do X, and then they go to Washington, and quite frankly, for a very long time, I don't think you could tell the difference if the Democrats are in power or the Republicans are. You're not going to change your mind when you get there.
I don't plan on it. I have some very close friends, and I've told that if they ever see me doing that, slap me upside the head.
You'll have to come back on the show for that. We can accommodate that. So you're actually in the primary, and how's it going at this point?
It's going very well. It's going very well. We've brought our message out to the people, which has been our goal all along. We are not part of the establishment. I've never held an elected office. And from the very beginning, our goal was to get out amongst the people. People are dissatisfied with the representation that they've had. And I think when you give people the opportunity to sit down and talk to you and realize that you are not an establishment candidate, you are not someone who is just going to tell them what they want to hear, people really respond to that. So we've had a wonderful outpouring of support, and we're hoping that that continues on for about another 3.5 to 4 weeks through the primary, and then we'll regroup again and go right back at it for the general election.
And you do have an opponent for the Republican ticket in the primary, right?
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to have to take a break. We're coming up on a break here. When we come back, one of the things that I want to talk about that's very big to our audience, the Second Amendment. So I want to just talk a little bit about that and see what your thoughts are on the Second Amendment. But we'll be back with more On Target Radio, and we will talk about Second Amendment. You're listening to AM560, The Answer. One down. So, Second Amendment. Anything specific?
Nothing.
Do you own anything? Do you ever? No. So you're not concealed carry guy. That's a subject we'll avoid. How do you feel about it?
I have no problem with concealed carry.
So we won't ask him if he is. We'll ask him what you do. Why don't you ask?
Okay.
Data's also shown that in places with concealed carry, crime rates have typically gone down by crime.
They indeed have. They indeed have.
What about, do you own guns?
No.
Don't own any guns.
We're
Okay.
gonna get him out of once. We're gonna get you out of Clark.
I took my daughter out shooting on vacation last time we went.
Did you really?
Went to a gun range in Scottsdale.
God,
sure.
I thought you were going to say Hawaii. There's a case that I may be on.
Oh, yeah.
Everything happened.
You want to mention that? Taking it to the range?
No. I don't want to mention it. The wife still doesn't know about that.
That would be a good reason to avoid it.
Yeah, let's avoid that one.
Yeah, well,
Otherwise, I don't think my
So,
keys can work when I get home.
how much is it worth for about 12,000 people not to hear that? I think I just paid for my show for the rest of the year. Okay, and we're good.
Wow. Just got real in here.
Job security.
Oh, we're a bundle of laughs at dinner, but you get in here, brother. I'm in control.
It's like a cage match. In here.
That's right. You got that right. Okay, so we don't have 10 and a half minutes. Oh, I got to do a commercial. We don't have 10 and a half minutes for Second Amendment. So what other subject?
Well, it's, the thing is, the border security.
Oh, that's true. Right. Yeah. That's true.
We can
Syrian
certainly-
refugees.
We can certainly fill 10 and a half minutes with that.
Yeah. Forest borders. There's something right there.
So, yeah, it's not only the Mexican border, but the Canadian border. So are you comfortable with it? Like if I just say, you know, how do you feel about the Second Amendment? Are you comfortable with that, or do you need more setup?
1-800-700-4950. Transcend from minicpap.com is as small as a
Should
soda
give you
can.
I'll roll in concealed carry too. I'll say, how do you feel about the Second Amendment and concealed carry?
So light that you can fit it in your briefcase or purse. To use
You can
anywhere.
devote
Big thing
as
that
much time.
people want
So you can sleep
gun
comfortably even
is
Transcend
nationwide
is the smallest,
reciprocity.
lightest, and most affordable mini-CPAP design ever.
What they typically cite is you get a driver's license in one state, it's good in every state. It doesn't make it's it's in the Bill of Rights. You're supposed to be able to have it. That's a big issue.
1-800-700-4950.
Feel it. If you can feel that, brother, you can bring it up. Otherwise, don't. 30 seconds.
We get more people that watch it after the fact.
Oh, yeah.
Like during the week they watch it.
The reason we do that is so people can go back, they work nights or whatever they can. Catch.
You have a read?
I got a live read.
Okay. So you and then.
And then when I'm done, you go.
Yeah.
7955.
You're listening to On Target Radio on AM560 The Answer with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life.
Over a half century ago, a respected establishment opened in Lake County, Illinois. What started as a hobby to Mike Schrank has served generations of firearm customers that are treated like family. Schrank's Smoke and Guns retains that family atmosphere and now carries the largest selection of new, used, and consignment firearms in Lake County. Over 800, including pistols, rifles, shotguns, plus hard-to-find calibers and ammunition. Even collectibles. Services. Whether you're thinking about your first firearm and a FOID card or looking to add to your collection, Now's the perfect time to discover Schrank's. Every store-owned firearm is up to 40% off during the annual store-wide sale, now through February 27th. And if you love cigars, you'll find your favorites in Schrank's humidors. Visit smoke_gun.org or call 847-662-4030. Schrank's Smoking Guns in Waukegan, your family-owned gun store since 1964. That's 847-662-4034. We're going to actually have them on in the third segment. And I got a cigar when I was there. So I got to drive home with a cigar. It was a deal. You're listening to On Target AM560 The Answer. Give us a call, 312-642-5600. Our lines are bereft of people waiting to call. Some nights are good on that. Some are bad. We're actually talking this evening with Nick Stella, and he's running in the primary for the seat in the 11th Congressional District.
So, Nick, what is your opinion on the Second Amendment and concealed carry?
Well, I definitely support the Second Amendment. I do not feel that the push for stricter gun laws is really helpful. The problem is with stricter gun laws is only law-abiding citizens follow laws.
Exactly.
Criminals, as being criminals, they don't follow laws. You can pass all the laws that you want. It's not going to prevent the criminal from obtaining the gun. The only people that will not be obtaining a weapon will be the law-abiding citizen.
Absolutely true.
One of the issues that's, particularly among gun people, of course, that's such a big deal is all manner of people are coming into this country unfettered. I mean, the borders, we think most commonly a southern border, which really is very porous, but the Canadian border really is too. The whole immigration issue. Now, Trump, if you and Trump are elected, okay, are you going to help him build the wall? Is that the way to do it?
You know, I don't know that a wall is the answer. It may be the answer. From my point of view, we have to secure the border with whatever means is necessary. If that is a wall, then great, so be it, and then a wall should be built. But I don't necessarily think that that is the answer. I think we need to look at all different methods to secure the border, including technology. We're flying drones all over the world. Maybe they can be helpful to help secure our borders. Technology along the border. We also need to look at the possibility of increasing the number of border enforcement agents that we have.
Is it only me, and I've said this before, but all of these poor downtrodden refugees that Obama's letting into the country, every single picture I have ever seen of any group of refugees, they're all 20-something-year-old males. Is that not true?
It does seem to be true.
How do we deal with it? The biggest problem is how many are here now?
Well, that's a good question. Who knows? You see all kinds of numbers out there from 9 million, 12 million, 18 million, 23 million. Nobody knows. Unfortunately, they haven't registered.
How we, but see, if they were Republicans, you'd know every single one of them where they're at.
Somebody would.
And they'd be tapping your phone. I mean, literally, from a pragmatic perspective, how do we even begin to deal with that? What would you do?
Well, I think the very first thing is we have to secure the border. Before you start talking about true immigration policy, the borders have to be secured. If you don't secure the border, first, you're just going to have a flood of refugees coming over the border. Once the borders are secured, then you need to look at the different methods of helping to retool our immigration policy. We need to look at the visa system. We need to look at what to do with all of the illegal immigrants who are here. All of the illegal aliens who are currently in the country. How do we deal with that population?
You're listening to On Target Radio. This is AM560 The Answer. Give us a call, 312-642-5600. It's really quiet. Is there a game on tonight?
There must be.
I don't know. It's very quiet. You know, Obama and his henchmen are very fond of saying whenever one of the Republican candidates says we need to seal the border, we need to, you're racists. You know, the only people in this country that came from this country are the American Indians. That's it. Everybody else came from another country. My parents and yours came from the old country. My dad is Sicilian and my mother was from near Florence. We've never had a problem with people coming into the country legally.
Exactly. This is the country of immigrants. We exist for immigration. We love immigrants. The key is legal immigrants. We welcome people with open arms, as long as you come legally.
One of the problems that I think a lot of people have, because Americans really have a big heart. Whenever there's a disaster, we've even done this for our enemies. They've had a natural disaster and we've dispatched ships and supplies and stuff for the population. Americans are really good at doing that. But, we keep hearing there's no more money for Social Security. There's no more money for that. But there's always money for illegal immigrants. We're paying them to be in this country. Can that be stopped?
I sure hope so. Something that we need to do. We need to take care of our citizens first. The illegal immigrants that have come here, they've come here in most situations because they want a better life. They know this is the land of opportunity. We want to continue to offer that opportunity to people from around the world. However, again, there are people who are trying to come to this country legally, and they need to be given the first opportunity.
I just hope that it can be done. I really do, because this type, and let's face it, this is warfare. I mean, this is literally warfare. This president, somebody yells Allah Akbar and is sawing the head off of a woman where he works. And what does the president call it?
Workplace violence.
This is insanity. All of these things that have happened that have been very, very clearly related to Islamic terrorism. And I'm not talking about, and I keep saying this. I have friends who are Muslim, good friends, and they're great people. They're fine people. We're talking about that percentage. But here's the thing. Even if that percentage is small, how many Muslims are there in the world? It's still a huge number of people that can be radicalized. And what difference does it matter if it's some kid sitting in his living room who gets radicalized through it? It's a guerrilla warfare deal. He's part of the problem now. That's what we're seeing a lot of.
Well, until we can put a name on it, we won't be able to fight it. And this administration has refused to name our enemy. You're right. It's not all Muslims. It's the radicalized Islamists who are the problem. But this administration refuses to even name that. We can't even begin to win a battle against them when we can't name who our enemy is.
Sure. And, these people who are doing this sort of stuff, they're just like your next door neighbor. Some of these people have just cropped up out of nowhere. There have been some that have been on watch lists, but a lot of these people are just cropping up out of nowhere. I honestly don't know how you deal with that. I mean, it's literally guerrilla warfare.
I think that we as citizens need to be more vigilant. If you see something, say something. I think Americans like to try to ignore everything that's outside of their individual sphere. Like to try to think that nothing bad is going to happen. But we need to become more vigilant just as citizens.
But, and that brings up an interesting thing. This president blames gun owners for everything that goes wrong. And we get this constant drumbeat about, it's this and that, even though not a single thing he's ever proposed would have stopped any one of these acts of violence that have occurred. And what do? They listen to our phone calls, they collect our emails, and they tell the public they're doing that for public safety. But these are the same people who sick the IRS on conservative groups. You can't trust them at all.
A little bit worrisome, isn't it?
We lose sleep over it, but it gives us a radio show.
Yeah. I told George the other day, our stock and trade is controversy.
It is. And I know the black limo with the tinted windows will be out front again when I get home. I know it'll be true. We're going to be back after a few messages with more on Target Radio, and you're listening to AM560, The Answer.
Yeah, even Facebook. Nobody's commenting on Facebook.
I don't get it. Is there like a big game on or something?
No, not to my knowledge.
They're out there.
I thought they were playing earlier.
They're out there.
I mean, it's the fourth quarter. It should have been over by now.
Give me a complex now. So
Some of our shows, people just sit back and they just don't get that involved.
So we come back with smoke and guns. Okay.
on Thursday, March 10th at Austin's Fuel and Motor. Tickets are just $25 and include an all-you-can-eat buffet. Visit 560theanswer.com/March. That's 560theanswer.com/.
We having fun yet? Ooh, we got Jeff from Berwyn. Second Amendment is simply an affirmation of natural law birthright. We'll take him, but we got a
Am I calling Beth or is she calling me?
You call her. And hey, Georgie.
Yeah.
Tell Jeff that we'll take him, but we got a segment to do.
I told him if he wanted to be on, he's gonna have to hang on a little while. He said
Yeah.
that's fine.
Okay. We'll take Jeff's Second Amendment question after we do the segment, and then I will ask you why you want to run for office.
The hard question.
And we'll all hold our breath. I don't have to ask you that question. I can ask you anything you want. You have a better one?
Talk about, you can go with that question. You can go with any issue. I don't care.
I think people want to know why somebody who's a cardiologist, and the very word means you're making money, would want to run for office where you're going to take a cut in pay and a lot of harassment from people.
Big pay cut.
Yeah.
Let's not emphasize the big part because my wife still talks about
There was
that. I just gave you more ammunition, didn't I?
There was, oh yeah, I got 2 years worth of show now. There was,
Maybe you can have that second hour you've been watching.
that's right. There was a next comment. I got 2 years of 2 hours. There was somebody was selling a sign at the Friends of the NRA dinner a couple of years ago, and it said, "My biggest fear is when I will die and my wife will sell my guns for the amount I told her I bought them for."
I like that.
The United States is in desperate times. Democrats have changed.
For a show that's got 14,000 people, it's pretty freaking quiet. Got one.
We got one. To disarm law-abiding citizens. Democrats continue to tax and spend. Our next election is for the future of the United States of America.
Voice.
I know, right? By the way, Jeff from Berwyn is watching it on YouTube.
Good. Hi, Jeff from Berwyn. We'll get to you after the next segment. We got to do a segment with smoking guns.
Programs take more and more money out of your pocket to pay the debt. It is time to vote in the Republican primary for candidates who think like you do.
Who think like we do? Oh, are we screwed? Oh,
No. If we elected candidates who think like I do, everything would be perfect.
I probably agree with you.
Now you see what it's like.
Now, I was about to
Come
ask,
on.
what part was
I'm
it?
dealing in hyperbole, obviously.
It would be perfect, us.
The abuse, I guess.
Got awful quiet.
This is happening.
So after I read that commercial, after I recorded it, our account rep goes, "That was high energy for Gretchen." It's like Dave always says, "It's nice to have friends. Too bad none of them showed up."
That was about the most qualified statement I've ever heard.
Yeah, there's nothing. I haven't got anything on Facebook. This is weird.
Yeah.
We in time.
We got one message, but it's not. I don't know if I want to read it out.
What is it?
That guy Larry.
Yeah.
He said, "When will people understand and admit that the person in the White House is one of the radical Muslims, the shadow leader for them? This is just part of the infiltration."
But we got to do smoking guns first.
West of O'Hare, Des Plaines, Max in Chicagoland's first NSSF 5-star facility and one of only 7
6 minutes and 30 seconds.
Your family and our Second Amendment rights.
Gun sales.
So
Yep.
important. That's why Max
I'm thinking maybe I need to make time to go to Lake County. Sounds good.
40% off all of the store guns.
Sounds pretty good.
I could use a new C.
New what?
6.0.
Who couldn't, really?
She's a SIG person.
I like SIG.
It's the only thing I've ever carried.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I've never owned one.
I'm not a, well, I know Glocks and one and one to it.
I got 3 Glocks.
Yeah.
The problem is because of that the way their slide and their housing mechanism, it comes down on an angle. It catches the literally right here in the center. Now I know a lot of people say, "Oh, put the
I need
tail
to
on."
show you how to hold a gun.
Yeah.
Here's David and Gretchen.
I'm sorry.
Well, that's one way to handle a guest on your show, is insult them right before we go on air, but that's fine. It's not a problem. We'll just bring in another guest for one segment, and then they'll cool down, and it'll be okay. We'll be fine. We're gonna bring in Beth Short. Beth is the operations manager for Schrank Smoke and Gun, and they've got a big sale going on. You're going to want to hear about. Hi, Beth. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you guys tonight?
We're doing fine. Other than insulting our guests just before airtime, we're doing really well.
That's good. That's good.
That's what we thought. So tell us a little bit about your store. Where are you?
We are located at 2010 Washington Street in Waukegan. We have been in that location since about 1977 or 78. I was a little young then, so I can't tell you for sure. Schrank Smoke and Gun was started in 1964 by my dad, Mike Schrank. He has been well known over the years. My father did pass away about 9 years ago, but Schrank Smoke and Gun is still owned and operated by the Schrank family.
And it's owned and operated by women.
Yes, actually. My mother, Joan Schrank, is the 100% owner of the business, and I am the operations manager inside the business, so it is fully owned and operated by women. Kind of exclusive.
Interesting combination, and I'll let you talk a little bit more about what you have sale-wise, but an interesting combination that you have a gun store and a cigar store. And I availed myself of your cigar store. I bought a cigar and had a cigar to smoke on the way home.
That's awesome. Those were two of my father's passions were hunting, shooting, as well as his cigars and his pipes. So we carry that on still today with the Yield Smoke Shop that has a full line of cigars in lots of different ranges, styles, and flavors, as well as pipe tobaccos, believe it or not.
So I'm guessing that neither you nor your mother smoke a cigar then.
I have to be honest, I do not smoke a cigar.
You never know. So tell us a little bit about, you got a big sale. Is this an annual thing?
This is our annual store-wide sale where we have all of our inventory on sale. I should qualify that it is only store-owned inventory because we do have consignment firearms as well as consignment collectible knives. Those are not on sale because they're not owned by the store. Other than that, everything else in our store, all of the firearms, cigars, accessories, ammunition, everything is on sale, up to 40% off.
Gretchen said over break she thought she might need to be making a trip up there.
Well, we'd love to see you. You'll have to introduce yourself, Gretchen.
I would. If I show up, I'll definitely say hi.
Now, you also have gunsmithing, yes?
Yes, we do have an on-site gunsmith.
And who's that?
His name is Steve. He came to us. He is from the Marines, was an armorer in the Marines, and has done quite a lot of work since then. He is also a veteran of the Waukegan Police Department. So we're really lucky to have him and his skills as well as his background in our crew.
Does he work on basically everything?
Yeah, pistols, handguns, shotguns, rifles. We do lots of AR customization. Everything you can pretty much look for. If we don't have the access to it, we know who does.
Well, and it's getting tougher and tougher to find gunsmiths these days.
Right, exactly. We do our favorite thing, or I shouldn't say ours. One of Steve's favorite things to work on is when somebody takes a gun apart at home and they can't put everything back together, and they bring in what is called a bag o' parts. And then they end up leaving our store with a complete gun.
So I have this Ruger Mark II semi-automatic pistol that I cleaned one time and can't get back together. I know where to go now.
Yeah, absolutely. Please swing by.
I will do that. So is there anything in particular about this sale that you want to point out, and when does it end?
Well, the sale actually started on Friday, the 19th, and it goes through Saturday this week, so Saturday the 27th. Like I said, we do have everything on sale that is store owned. Some of the highlights that we have are Glock 19 Gen 3s for $4.99. We have Bodyguards for $305 with the laser for $365. We have some pretty cool police buyback shotguns for $225. And as I said, everything else in the store is from anywhere from 5% all the way up to 40% off. Some great ammo deals, too, for some bulk ammo as well.
Have you got a good supply of ammo? You got like 22 ammo?
We do have 22 ammo. It is very difficult to get. We don't see that market loosening up anytime soon. But we do have some current ammo as well as some surplus 22 ammo.
Well, sounds like the place to go.
It does.
Well, we would love to see, we really wanted to get out and promote this sale. We do have customers that have been with us literally since the day my father opened the business. So people may have, forgotten us along the way. Maybe they've stopped coming to the store over the years with many of the changes that had happened. We just want to reintroduce ourselves and say, hey, come on out and check us out again.
Okay, real quick now, give us a number for people to call.
Yep. Our number is 847-662-4034. You can also find us online. Our website is www.smoke.gun.org.
Thank you very much, Beth, and good luck on the sale.
All right, great. Thank you so much. I appreciate the time.
You betcha. Have a good one. We're going to be back with more On Target Radio. We're going to talk to Jeff from Berwyn about Second Amendment, and I'm going to pop the question. That's a bad choice of words. I'm not going to pop the question to the doctor. I'm going to ask him why he wants to get into politics. All that and more with On Target Radio. And you're listening to AM560, The Answer.
It's about time you popped the question.
When you said pop, I looked up and like, really?
A little levity after that would be worth it. So.
Coach Dave, you got to play in Coldplay first.
Coldplay? Yeah.
You ever seen a 40-year-old virgin?
Yes.
You know how I know you're gay?
What?
You know how I know you're gay?
I don't.
You've seen the 40-year-old virgin. A number of times, apparently.
He doesn't remember.
You know how I know you're gay?
Doesn't ring a bell.
She was in Coldplay.
Who asked if I run this thing? I have no control whatsoever. If I insult him, he absorbs it like a sponge, and he puts his finger on the button. You know what I'm saying?
Your animosity is my fuel. I want it. I want all of it.
If I insult her, it's 35, 40 minutes home.
The temperature just went down 10 degrees.
That's it. I mean, I'm basically screwed. I have no power at all. All right.
Yeah, then he hits me just before he goes on that. I'm like, I can't even say nothing.
That was cold.
It's better to not say nothing than to do what most people who aren't used to doing radio is just to start talking right as the mics come on. Yeah. So you'll turn the mics on and you'll get the tail half second of a conversation. There's
I don't know. I don't think it was a break. I think it was at the end of the show last week. I assumed the mics would be on.
Oh, yes, it was.
He was done talking, and I said
I
something.
bumped your mic on.
Oh, okay. I said something, and I saw that. I was like,
Yes, and then saying, oh shit, afterwards does not help.
no, I didn't say it on the air. I did not say it on the air.
You got about 3 words out.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Sometimes my fat fingers miss the fat buttons. What can I say? Odds are in my favor, which is not absolute.
We were plotting what we could do when we were live to send you far enough away from the board to solve the problem that we could get a word in before you could get back and hit the buttons. It'd have to be like the kitchen, I think. Like, George, there's a fire in the kitchen.
You would, because I can drop a deuce on a break in a minute and a half. All right.
Well, and then I said, yeah, it's all fun and games until they get fined by the FCC.
Yeah,
and then they send you the bill.
Yeah, that $25,000 deduction shows up in my
Exactly.
What the hell? I'm losing $750 a month anyway. A week. There he is.
The weird thing is, Gretchen, they gave me this position of responsibility after having met me.
There's no logic to it. Do you want me to bring it back in?
You're listening to On Target Radio on AM560 The Answer with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life.
And we're back with more On Target Radio. Give us a call, 312-642-5600. Jeff from Berwyn gave us a call. And Jeff, you got a comment about the Second Amendment.
Greetings, Dave, and howdy, Gretchen.
There you go. Howdy.
There's a facet of the Second Amendment. Those of us that the Second Amendment advocates don't advocate enough. It's about self-defense, and it's not a constitutional right. It's not a statutory right. It's a birthright. From when we are squeezed out of our mother's womb and slapped on the butt and suck up the air for the first time, we are endowed by our Creator to defend ourselves from aggression.
Well, you hit the nail on the head. How many times have we talked about on this show, if a conservative speaker goes onto a campus, they have to have trigger words and safe zones. And the people today have gotten to the point where anything that in any way makes them feel uncomfortable, the person who's doing that is automatically wrong.
It's a sinister subversion of liberty and freedom of the individual. In England, I don't know if you all know this, in England, you can even defend yourself if somebody breaks into your home.
Oh, yeah. We talked about that.
I talk about that in Concealed Carry every week, that the British police have actually advised people, legally, it's going to be better for you if you don't defend yourself.
Yeah, that's true.
Insane.
And we've gotten into this thing here in this country now where if an employee in a business intervenes in a robbery and saves the people in the store by using a gun, they fire the guy. That's happening more and more all the time.
And then that's when I say the backlash should be somehow make their civil laws to sue the owner for deprivation of civil rights for self-defense or something. We ought to turn these against these people that have oppressed just people trying to protect themselves. This is insane. I grew up getting picked on, okay, until I was a freshman in high school and I stood up against some bully, okay? I got beat up all the time.
Well, Jeff, I agree with you, and I appreciate you giving us a call.
All right. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you. And it's a good point. I mean, that's what's happened to us.
We have a comment on Facebook from Larry. When will people understand and admit that the person in the White House is one of the radical Muslims, a shadow leader for them? This is just part of the infiltration.
Well, so here's the thing, Nick. You want to run for Congress, and this is what you're going to inherit. This stuff. These are big issues in the Republican Party. You sure you really want to do this?
Well, many of my friends and partners think I'm certifiable that I've made this decision, but I spent the last 15 years taking care of people, seeing people every day, rich people, poor people, very educated, uneducated. Everyone comes through my door for care. And as I've progressed through these last 15 years, seeing people be more and more dissatisfied with our government, dissatisfied with the representation that they have. And I think Americans deserve better. I think we deserve to have a government that works for the people as it was designed to work. I think we deserve to have representatives that truly put their constituents first and not their own benefit or the benefit of their party. It's about the people who put them in office. That's what I think many of our representatives have forgotten.
Well, I think you're right. And this administration has gone out of its way to make that happen. And I don't know that anybody can ever turn it around again. And I really don't know that this republic can withstand a Hillary Clinton. 4 to 8 years of that. I honestly don't know. The Constitution is just going to get. I don't think so. If we get a liberal justice on the Supreme Court, we're up the creek without a paddle.
I definitely agree.
I don't know.
I definitely think that the time that we have to reverse some of these things like Obamacare and these infringements, I shouldn't say infringements, attacks on our Second Amendment rights and First Amendment rights and Fourth Amendment rights and Fifth Amendment rights. I think that though our time to reverse those is growing short. And I say it all the time. If you don't believe me, watch the movie Agenda and it will change your mind.
The problem we have today, and this is going to face you coming up in a primary, so many people have given up that the real fear I have is not whether or not the Republican base believes this needs to be done. It's whether or not they think it can be done, and that'll affect whether or not they come out and vote.
Well, I think it's not just the Republican base. I think there's a huge percentage. I still believe that there's the silent majority out there, and I'm hoping that this is the tidal wave election where the silent majority wakes up and says, enough is enough. We're mad. We're not going to take it, and makes their thoughts known. Gets out there and votes for the people that they think are going to represent them. Too many of us find it's just too easy to sit around at home on election day, come up with many excuses. Too busy, have other things planned.
It's only one vote. Who cares?
Yeah, my vote doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
When we all think that, we find millions of votes not being cast.
Well, I agree with you. I think that's the problem, and we're trying to energize them. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back and wrap the whole thing up. Gretchen will do her items for the week and all that and more on Target Radio. And you're listening to AM560, The Answer.
John. He wants to talk about Tim Cook's homosexuality.
I'm tempted to take the call.
We're not going to take it.
Are you serious?
Well, he wants to talk about Apple's encryption issue.
That's what George put on the board.
John very eloquently wraps his Catholic central bigotry in a nice little bowed package every time. So he goes ahead and he has that little snippet of something relevant, and then it rolls into John.
Yeah.
It's just pure John from there. So he started out. I said, on Target Radio, hey George, this is John. I've got something to get off my chest. I said, okay. That's how he always.
It's probably the attendant holding him down.
I was just gonna say it might be the Lombardo thing. So, tell him, but I go ahead. I'm not gonna tell him anything. We'll let him sit there and stew. So anyway, go ahead. He goes. I think because the FBI is technically separate from Barack Obama, that the FBI, the Apple should help. But here's the thing. Tim Cook is the CEO of Apple, and he's homosexual, and that's wrong. So, and it just goes into.
So, Liz, I think next week we will probably talk about the Apple thing, because that's a big, depending on what happens.
Yes.
Yeah, and tell them that we're going to tell them we're probably going to talk about Apple next week. Tell them to listen.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
tell them John until next week.
Yeah. And you can do his
He
homework.
goes, I'll break it for free. Give me the phone.
How long you got?
Oh, 2.5.
Okay. What I'm going to ask you is how they can get contribute. What do you want me to ask?
I'm sorry?
How they can contribute to your campaign?
Yes. Come check
That's
out
that?
website, Facebook.
Okay. You going to be good with that? Sure. I'm Dr. Nixon.
He's Dr. Nixella.
Listening to On Target Radio on AM560 The Answer with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life.
And we're back with more On Target Radio. Unfortunately, we can't get around now. The phone lines are lit up, and what are you going to do? But John from Crete's on the phone, but we don't have time. But John calls back next week. We're probably going to be talking about that very subject. Meanwhile, what you've all been waiting for.
Stand by. Here's Gretchen with your action items for the week.
Co-sponsors are needed for Senate Bill 2341, introduced by State Senator Matt Murphy. SB 2341 seeks to remove the power of local governments and municipalities to impose sales tax on firearm and ammunition purchases. This legislation would also void the current firearm and ammunition sales tax in the city of Chicago. please contact your state senator and politely urge him or her to co-sponsor SB 2341. I did that today. You are cordially invited to join Senator Ted Cruz at the Northwest Suburban Lincoln Day Dinner on Friday, March 11th at 6:30 p.m. at the Meadows Club in Rolling Meadows. Tickets are $120 per person and can be reserved in advance at rowtgop.org/Lincoln Day Dinner. I put the link on Facebook earlier today. Don't forget, Illinois Gun Owners Lobby Day is April 6th this year. The bus reservation page has been posted on the ISRA website, isra.org. I also posted that on Facebook today. The following Safer USA classes are at our facility in Waterman. Sunday, April 10th, Tactical Pistol 1 and 2, taught by David. Saturday and Sunday, April 16th and 17th, May 7th and 8th, and May 14th and 15th, Illinois Concealed Carry 1. This 16-hour class will be taught by David and Gretchen and meets the training requirements for Illinois Concealed Carry, as well as Florida, Arizona, and Utah. Sunday, April 17th, Concealed Carry Live Fire 1 and 2, taught by Eric. Also Sunday, April 17th, Long Range Rifle, taught by Ed Janka. To sign up for classes, go to saferusa.com and click on register.
Thank you, Gretchen. And we have a segment 6 tonight.
We do. We're going to be talking to Dr. Nick Stella about the U.S. healthcare system,
which is a pithy subject of which you know quite a bit. And we're looking forward to that.
So am I.
Gung-ho to do that, aren't you? All right. It's been an interesting show.
How can they get a hold of him?
We're going to do that.
Okay.
How can they get a hold of you? If somebody wants to say, just make a small donation of, 100,000 or something, how do they get a hold of you?
Well, we're on the internet at stellaforcongress.com. We're also on Facebook at Stella for Congress, but donations are greatly appreciated, and you can donate through our webpage at stellaforcongress.com.
And we'll get to hear him shortly on YouTube, on Target Radio, and about healthcare, which is certainly an area that you are well versed in, and I think we'll get some insight into that. I actually know of a doctor who just said, I'm retiring early.
There is an epidemic of physicians who can get out, getting out.
Yeah, it really is a serious problem. So that's definitely going to be an interesting subject, and it'll take a couple minutes to get set up, and then we'll come back and we'll be with that. Meanwhile, we'd like to thank Dr. Stella for coming into the studio this evening, and we'd like to thank you for listening to On Target Radio, and be sure to listen next week when Gretchen and I will be discussing more red meat issues that affect your life.
We'd also like to thank George Hoffman on the board and our sponsors, August Duzer, Ed Ronkowski, the Illinois State Rifle Association, the Aurora Sportsman's Club, and Safer USA.
And I would encourage you to visit Schrank Smoke and Guns. I was up at that store, when was it? It was probably late summer, early. Yeah, it was probably late summer, wasn't it? When I went up?
Don't ask me yet. Oh.
Okay, fine. Anyway, it was something
It wasn't
like
my turn to watch you.
That's funny. You usually do. And it's a good sized store, and they got a lot of firearms in there, and they're on sale. So go and visit them. I think you'll find it interesting. Other than that, we'll be back next week. And as we said, we'd like to thank you for listening to us. And specifically, as always, thank you, Michael, for making it all happen.
Me?
Was ist los?
Das ist right.
Mein Schatzi?